They been cramping my style all week. Craving chocolate trees, checking pants, checking seeds, sipping herbal tea, and fight for menstrual equity. Jeez, man, I kick Cramp's ass. 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 You're now tuned in to the Kick Cramp's Ass podcast with your host, Brittany Walker, advocating for menstrual equity, period poverty, and womb wellness. New episodes on Menstruation Mondays.
Welcome to the Kick Cramp's Ass podcast, everybody, where I'm your host, Brittany Walker. And today we made it to season 2, episode 27. Let's talk about sex. It is Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And all month long, we've been talking about all these good awareness months. So September is Yoga Awareness Month. It's also Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, PCOS Awareness Month. But today, we're going to be talking about Sexual Health Awareness Month, and that's also in September. So let's go ahead and get started. You know, we like to kick off each episode with the I am power statement. I representing inspiration, A representing affirmations, and M representing manifestations. And the I am power statement for today is I am embracing my sexuality and will practice safe and hygienic approaches to remain healthy and achieve optimal womb wellness. Ashe. So there it is. You know, we also like to have a quote of the day, and today's is, sexuality is one of the ways that we become enlightened, actually, because it leads us to self-knowledge, and that's by the great Alice Walker. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and take a good old sip of our Cramp elixir. We're going to cut to a commercial break, and we'll be right back with you.
Have you tried our bestseller, the Cramp elixir? It's our herbal tea blend designed to reduce and eliminate menstrual cramps, PMS symptoms, and other uterine health issues that are hindering your day-to-day progress. Our elixir may decrease inflammation, reduce stress and anxiety, regulate blood flow, balance your mood, and it can kick cramps' ass. It includes a variety of herbs including hibiscus, red raspberry leaf, calendula, motherwort, ashwagandha, plus more. Head over to kickcrampsass.org and grab yours today. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back from that commercial break, guys. We hope that you enjoyed it. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about Sexual Health Awareness Month. Now, there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with sex. However, we want you to practice safe and hygienic practices that will help you to manage and achieve optimal womb wellness. All right, guys. So in honor of Sexual Health Awareness Month, we want to encourage you to have positive sexual experiences, become more comfortable with talking about sex to surpass outdated perspectives, and engage in safe habits and practices to maintain positive womb wellness. Now, first, let's talk about understanding consent. Consent is an agreement or permission expressed through affirmative, voluntary words or actions that are mutually understandable to all parties involved to engage in a specific sexual act at a specific time. So consent can be withdrawn at any time as long as it is clearly communicated. So in other words, no means no. It is up to you that if you start engaging in sexual activity, let's say you're in the middle of foreplay, you might even just be at the beginning kissing stages, and you realize that you don't want to move forward, that is perfectly fine. You are able to stop and say no, and that person has to respect that. Now, if you tend to be manipulated, the person's trying to peer pressure you, if they're trying to coerce you into the activity, or if they're even trying to tell you you're playing too hard to get, then those are still forms of an individual trying to make you do something that you do not want to do. So you do not have to participate in that. And it's okay to disengage and remove yourself from that situation. All right, guys. Let's talk about the stats that are surrounding Sexual Health Awareness Month. Now, as of May 2024, more than 1 million curable sexually transmitted STIs are acquired every day worldwide in individuals ages 15 through 49 years old, and the majority of which are asymptomatic. And this is according to the World Health Organization. So 1 million individuals every single day are acquiring an STI. Now, reproductive tract cancers can affect hundreds and thousands of people annually that could potentially be prevented from safer and hygienic sex practices. And that's according to Ford and their research team in 2022. So when it comes to cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, things of that sort, those options may be prevented if sexual practices are you're more in tuned into the more safer options and the hygienic ways. So we have to be mindful individuals that you're engaging with, their hygienic practices, how many sexual partners you have, all of these things play a role in your overall womb wellness. Now, 3.8 billion people in the world have herpes, and that's according to the World Health Organization in 2024. Now, 2.5 million individuals in the United States have an STI, and that's according to the CDC, the Centers of Disease and Prevention Control, and 1.2 million people in the United States have HIV, and that's also according to the CDC in 2022. So as you can see, there's millions of individuals who have either STI, HIV, or herpes, and these are conversations you need to be having with the individuals you're choosing to have sexual encounters with. All right, guys. Now, almost half of the pregnancies in the United States are unintended, and that's also by Ford and their research team in 2022, meaning that many individuals are engaging in sexual practices, but they're not taking proper steps to protect themselves from these STIs or these unwanted or undesirable diagnoses, or they're having unplanned pregnancies, and then they're trying to figure out what to do next. With everything that we have going on with the abortion laws, with everything that we have going on in the economy, it's just we just want to empower you to be more mindful and take essential steps for your body and for yourself, and also for your future, so that if you really don't want to have a baby right now, that you're not engaging in activities that can make that come into fruition pretty much quicker for you. Or if there are more than one sexual partner that you're engaging with, making sure that you're having open and honest communication with these individuals, so you know what they're doing when they're not with you, so that you can make the best decisions for yourself. All right, guys. Now, not incorporating legitimate and safe sexual practices could lead to unwanted uterine ailments and could negatively impact your menstrual cycle. All right, guys. So we want to be mindful that sex could change your reproductive hormonal pattern. So if you notice that your testosterone, maybe your progesterone, maybe it is your cortisol, something, serotonin, something is off, and you're not understanding why. And it could be because of the sexual activity that you're engaging in. We also want to be mindful of the energy that you're allowing into your body. If you're bringing somebody into your fold that has activity, they're always surrounded around toxicity. They might have their own abusive or sexual traumas that they haven't healed from. Those are things that you're now allowing into your body, and you want to be mindful of those things, because a lot of sexual trauma and energy that we're festering or holding in the womb could lead to fibroids, endometriosis, infertility, and other uterine ailments that we probably don't want for the body. Now, sexual activity can also change your pH balance. So the way that you're operating, the way that you're moving, you might notice that your smell is off. You might notice that your odor's a tad bit stronger. You might notice that you have now developed an odor that's not going away. And that could have a lot to do with the sexual activity that you have going on, not cleansing your walls correctly, even based off of your sexual partner. If it's a male, maybe he's not circumcised, maybe he's not cleaning his penis correctly, maybe you're having sex with somebody right after y'all left the club, so both of you are sweaty and both of you haven't had a chance to thoroughly clean yourself, and that can have an effect on your pH balance as well. Also, just an individual who has a lot of sexual partners that chooses to perform the sexual activities unprotected and then coming to have sex with you, that can also bring bacteria and other unwanted toxins for the body. All right, guys. And then sex also can impact your blood color. Once you start noticing that your blood color is changing during your menstruation phase of your menstrual cycle, you will then can see, okay, what's going on. If you have a grayish color, maybe you might have bacterial vaginosis. If you're experiencing a lot of brown, maybe that's just excess blood left over from a previous period that blood was just stuck to the inside of your walls. So things just to be mindful of when it comes to your blood color. All right, guys. So we know that was a mouthful of information. We definitely want you to go ahead and take some of that in, not some of it, but all of it in and absorb it. And we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with you.
Now, navigating to our resource center, we want to give you guys access to all these complimentary resources that we have available for you. We have our blog, book suggestions, our menstrual blood chart, exercise moves to kick Cramp's ass. We have recipes. We have reports. We have research studies that helps to prove how holistic approaches assist with achieving womb wellness. We have wellness tips, wellness referrals, so business organizations and individuals that we would like to refer to you that are our strategic partners, womb terminology. Maybe there's some womb options that you're not aware of. This can help you out. And lastly, yoga moves to help you kick Cramp's ass. Feel free to take advantage of this complimentary resource. All right, guys, now back to the show.
Welcome back from that commercial break. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. So let's talk about tips coming into Sexual Awareness Month. I know some of this information you've probably seen on TV, you read it in magazines, you've heard on podcasts, you've seen on social media, you could have even learned in school. But we also know that in K through 12, in that school system, they're not as detailed and may not give you all the information you desire. You might come from a household that your parents are uncomfortable talking about certain things or not ready to talk and have certain conversations with you. So this is why we want to definitely bring education to you and have you gain a better understanding on better practices that you could take that maybe you never thought about before that can help out with having a positive sexual experience moving forward, and also on how you could better protect your womb because you do want to engage in sexual activity. All right, guys. So first tip, protect yourself. Incorporate barrier methods. So if you're not proactively attempting to get pregnant, no matter what the gender is, it is important to want to reduce any unwanted womb issues. All right, guys. Now, no matter what the gender, even if it's non-binary, if you prefer to be with males, if you prefer to be with females, there are ways that you can protect yourself. Condoms, dental dam, things of that sort. But it is extremely important to protect yourself. All right, guys, to prevent any unwanted pregnancies or STIs, HIV, or any ailments that can hinder you for the long term. Next tip is we want to definitely engage in honest communication. You want to be honest with your partner or partners and health professionals, ensuring that you are on the same page about your body, your actions, and your service. So when it comes to your partner or partners, you want to be mindful of what you're willing to handle, what you actually want to engage in, what you don't want to do. If you prefer to be monogamous and be with one person, that's fine. If you prefer to be poly, that's fine. If you want to date and not be monogamous and date who you want to date when you see fit, that's fine as well. You just want to be honest with these individuals that you are engaging with, so everybody has a clear understanding on where they stand and if they want to continue to participate or if they don't want to participate, so gaining their consent, but also learning about how they operate. Again, if you're only dealing with one partner, being mindful of what that one partner has going on, their hygienic practices, their sexual practices, how they maintain their body, are they taking care of their genital areas as well? And then if you're having multiple partners, just being mindful of if they're open to talk about the other people that they're engaging with, because you want to be mindful of if they engage with somebody else and then turn around and have sex with you within a 24 to 48 hour period, and you're not understanding or knowing what these other individuals have going on, then you are putting yourself at risk. And we don't want you to have 10 to 15 minutes of pleasure or fun, and then you're diagnosed with something that can hinder you for the remainder of your life. So we just want you to take this time and have these conversations with the individuals that you are choosing to engage in. Now, You might be thinking, how do I start that conversation? How do I have it going on? There's plenty of questions we could talk about and we're going to get into. But just from my own personal practices, I thought it was always very important to know what you and your partner's status is before engaging in any sexual activity. Having them pull out their records. When was the last time that you got tested? Is that paperwork accessible on your mobile device? And if you haven't got tested, how many partners have you had since then? And are you willing to get tested before we get started? These are things that are super important. Do not put yourself on the back burner or disrespect your body, your mind, and your soul just because of a temporary temptation. And that's real. We have been very vocal with you in past podcasts about stumbling into situations, acquiring certain things that we didn't want to acquire. For instance, trichomonas. That is something that I was diagnosed with many moons ago, almost 20 years ago. And again, I'm thinking I'm in a monogamous relationship with somebody, and that individual decided to do their own thing and have fun and came back and brought me something. And what's crazy is I actually went to the OBGYN for my annual checkup, didn't even have any symptoms of anything. And they were like, oh yeah, it's fresh in your body. It hasn't even been in your body for a full week. So it's not even going to take you that long to take antibiotics to get rid of it. However, you need to be mindful of what's going on with your partner. And that was a serious conversation I had to have with my partner that evening. And then I discovered, oh yeah, you are engaging in sexual activity with other individuals. In my case, I was in a lesbian situation with another lesbian, and a lesbian had sex with another woman who happened to be bisexual. So even though my partner was her only female partner, her other partners were male. So just to be mindful, things to be mindful of. Again, if somebody's having unprotected sex with a male and they're unclean, and then they turn around and have sex with a woman, and then that woman passes it on to the next person they're with, that is very possible. So we want to be mindful of those conversations. So since then, anybody that came into this vicinity was asked, when was the last time you got tested? I want to see paperwork. What's up? And if you haven't got tested, are you open to going to get tested together? And this is serious conversations that more individuals should be having. Now let's talk about other questions that you can ask during this honest communication period. Now, are you currently having sex of any kind, oral, vaginal, or anal, with anyone? If not, have you ever had sex of any kind with another person? Another question, in recent months, how many partners have you engaged sexually with? What is or are the genders of your sexual partners? I feel like this is a very important question for you to know what's going on. There's no judgment there. It's just you need to know with your body, hey, if I'm only having sex with this one gender and this individual chooses to have sex with multiple genders, am I okay with that? And do I want to move forward with that? That's something that I have the right to make a decision about. Do you or your partners currently have any other sexual partners? So if you or your partner are having sex outside of each other, being mindful of how many other partners is it? Do you or your partner or partners discuss your STI prevention? Are we talking about condoms? Are we talking about, yes, I've had this. Yes, I have not had this. Yes, I'm currently taking medication for this. These are things that we need to talk about. Are you proactively using protection? Another question. If you are using prevention tools, what methods do you use? For instance, are you doing external, internal condoms? Are you doing any form of dental dam? Have you ever been tested for a STI or HIV before? And if not, are you willing to be tested? Have you ever been diagnosed with the STI or in the past? When was that, and when did you get treatment? Have you ever had any symptom that keeps coming back? Has your current partner or former partners ever been diagnosed or treated with the STI? And if they've had more than one STI, when was the gaps? What was the time frames? Do you know your current status? Do you think you would like to have children at some point? Or if you already have kids, do you foresee yourself having kids in the future? This is super important. You want to have these conversations because you might have an individual that really wants to have kids again or hasn't had kids yet and plan to have kids in the future. And they might be looking for a partner that wants those same things. And they don't want to get in a situation where they're with a partner that does not want kids. And then they end up falling for somebody having a set expectation that hasn't realistically been discussed. And then if you do want to have children, if you already have them, when do you foresee you having some more? If you have not had them, when would you like to start begin having them? And then how important is it for you to prevent pregnancy until then? So again, it could be okay if that person wants to have kids in the future. But again, do you want to start that now? Is that something you're engaging in proactively so I can make the decision if I want to be involved or not? All right, guys. So those are some great questions that you can ask during those honest communication conversations. Now, another tip for Sexual Health Awareness Month is being mindful of your partner selection. The way that they treat you, their energy, and their hygiene is imperative to your womb. If you have somebody that's disrespecting you, then your womb is going to be disrespected. If you have somebody that has negative or toxic energy, then when you allow them inside of you, that energy rolls over. If their hygiene is not on point, if they're choosing not to brush their teeth, floss their teeth, brush their tongue, clean around their genitals, clean frequently, how they handle their body once it sweats. These are things that are super important. If you have piercings or anything or tattoos and things down there, are you taking care of those areas? If you're choosing to shave, wax, or whatnot, are you having hair bumps? Are you having gashes or rashes that are coming in behind that? Those are things we want to be mindful of. The type of soap that you use, you might use a chemical based soap and I can't use a chemical based soap. So these are just things that you need to have conversations about. Another tip is to get tested. Do not be afraid to get assessed to acquire your status routinely. And do not hesitate to ask your partner about your status. So I mentioned that when we first started the tips, but we're just going to round out with it again. It is so important to know your own status. And you don't even have to go through your insurance company to go. There are plenty of companies that you can go to now, and you could just walk in and request a test to get tested for your STIs or STDs, whichever you prefer to call them, the infections or the diseases sexually transmitted, HIV, any of that. All right, guys. And there are even companies, like for instance, when people actually go to get tested, some individuals are unaware of like the interval numbers or the ranges that causes you to be negative or positive or borderline with having an STI, STD, or HIV. So it's important that, for instance, if you feel like, hey, I keep having like these bumps pop up and I don't know what's going on. Let's say you go get tested, you might discover you have herpes. It's important to know your interval numbers so you can know like, okay, this has me at a negative status. This has me at borderline. This has me completely positive. So what is going to be the number for me to be paying attention to that I want to fall in so that I don't acquire this STD? All right, guys. And then the last tip is just have fun and be safe. There's nothing wrong with engaging in sexual activity. We feel that it is very important to have another form of physical activity, learning yourself. And if that takes self-pleasuring, if that takes manifestation masturbations, if that takes you discovering who you are as an individual and what you really like before you allow other people into your space, because some people might not want to experiment with other individuals. They might want to figure that out for themselves and then be able to communicate to these individuals what is it they want, what is it that they desire, so you're just not walking into a situation blindsided and putting yourself in a situation that you might not really want to do. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with you.
Welcome to kickcrampsass.org. Now, feel free to subscribe and get 15% off. By doing so, you're subscribing to our newsletter and you'll receive the latest news, resources, and updates. We appreciate you for connecting with us, so we want to get you with 15% off on your first order. So go ahead and leave your first name, your last name, and your email address, and you'll have this 50% off coupon that you can use towards your first order.
Now, back to the show. Welcome back from that commercial break. We hope that you guys enjoyed it. So, to recap, everybody, we have talked about let's talk about sex. And this is for September being Sexual Health Awareness Month. All right, guys. So we were able to talk through stats, tips that you can engage in, and just understanding what Sexual Health Awareness Month is so you could be okay with knowing what best practices works for you and your body, and to also achieve optimal womb wellness. All right, guys. Now, just to talk about what we have going on, don't forget to subscribe to us to keep up with the latest news, events, and resources that we have going on with our Pilates for Periods program that we launched at the beginning of this month for Yoga Awareness Month. We have dropped another video. Period Back Pain Yoga Flow is a 10-minute quick yoga flow for back pain relief and achieving optimal womb wellness. All right, guys. Also, when in regards to this season, we have one more episode after this episode left in this season, and we're going to be wrapping up season 2 of Kick Cramp's Ass, the podcast. All right, guys. We hope that you like this podcast. Be sure to share it with somebody that resonates. We are still proactively accepting listeners' mail, so feel free to comment on this episode, or if you would like a more personalized approach, feel free to email us at contact@kickcrampsass.org, which will be listed in the description of this episode. All right, guys, you can also subscribe to our website where you will not only get a 15% off coupon to use at our KCA store, but you will be able to keep up with the latest news, events, resources, and tools that we have going on through Kick Cramps Ass and Pilates for Periods. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you will receive additional content, especially once the season ends for the podcast. We'll be keep serving you up very helpful and useful and valuable content that will be beneficial in you achieving optimal womb wellness. All right, guys. If there's not anything else, we want to send gratitude out to all of you for tuning in for today. And we want to manifest a positive, productive, and peaceful menstrual journey ahead the remainder of the day and the week. And we'll be seeing you for next Menstruation Monday for our season finale of season 2 of the podcast. We'll talk to you then. Peace.